everyone, and I will call the meeting to order. Do we still need to read or do I still need to read the suggested disclaimer?
I haven't heard anything otherwise,
Okay.
but it would be nice to
Okay, let me
make it
just,
brief. Yeah.
okay. I pulled up another set of meeting agendas so I could find it. All right, so the suggested disclaimer. In accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Information and connection links to the meeting are provided on the Town of Plymouth's website at plymouth-nh.org. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we have almost a full board these days. All right, so I will read the roll. Please just let us know you're here. Carl.
Present.
Steve.
Present.
Marianne.
Here.
Phil.
Yes.
And new board member, John.
Present.
Well, welcome, John, to your first meeting.
Thank you.
We will start with a review of the meeting minutes from the last meeting on the 19th. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the agenda. Any comments, suggestions, edits from the minutes from the meeting on the 19th? Or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the 19th of November.
I'll second.
Thank you. So I'll read the roll again. Either aye, nay, or abstain if you weren't there. Carl.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Marianne.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
And John.
I might abstain. I was there, but I was not officially a member.
Okay, I think we'll just leave you as an
Abstain.
abstention, and I also abstain as I was stuck in other towns' select board meetings. So, all right. Next up is working on the zoning ordinance. The zoning subcommittee was unable to convene. Not because we tried really hard to get a meeting time. We tried and it didn't fly. So I think we had left it that we were going to look at some of the summary sheet that Jules had put together and try and talk through a couple of those issues, which I think we can do now. And then Jules, I just saw your email about 7 minutes ago for the zoning exercise. So I'm not sure if other folks got a chance to see that you sent out this afternoon. So any suggestions on next steps for zoning? Steve, do you have any ideas?
I thought we had some outreach things that we still needed to do.
Yep.
I would just endorse those.
Okay. And we need to get the finalized. Yeah, I guess what would be helpful for me is, this is the age-old problem as we talk about in the planning board meetings, and then we don't do anything, and then we're like, what do we say we're going to do? And then we say we're going to do stuff, and then we meet again and repeat indefinitely. So yeah,
Rebecca,
I agree. Yeah.
Did Mark end up doing a list of questions?
Yes, he did do a list of questions.
And was the thought to use those for another video, or?
I think we were going to do like an FAQ to put on the website, but I think I started to work on that, and I'm like, I'm just not sure what the best outlet for that is. And then again, it fell off my radar. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I can circulate those and trying to figure out the best place to send those yeah, I mean, I can write a press release. I can do another letter to the editor. I just don't think we're getting a ton of traction or interest from those. So.
If we took the questions, and I'm open to what other people might think about this, if we took Mark's questions as a starting point and put them into like a Google Doc, and when people have just a couple minutes, if they could look and add questions or add answers, I wonder if over the next week we could kind of fill out somewhat of an FAQ.
Yeah, I think we can. I mean, my only question with that, not to put a damper on this, is how the FOIA applies to that. So can we work in a Google document with multiple people editing the same document? Does that then become a matter of public record and we have to post and take minutes for our document editing? So
It's not, as long as we're not in there discussing with each other, I think it would be hard to have a discussion.
yeah, I guess my question is it any different than us circulating an email one at a time and adding ideas to an email? Like, how is that any different? Not that I mean, I think it's a great idea. I just don't want to be moving forward in a way that's not transparent and completely above board with the Freedom of Information Act. Did I get that right? Freedom of Information Act.
I think as long as we are planning to publish this, it will become a part of the public record and it won't be an issue.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right.
Yeah,
Can we just put it right in our shared document so it's already up there and open to the public and visible?
I think that's great too, because they can see it evolve. If they're so interested, that would be
Yeah.
a good problem to have.
Okay.
yep. I can put it up and then just share the permissions and,
Okay. Would it be helpful if I put it in there and just make you an editor and then, I'm not sure if I can put it in there. Okay.
or just email it to me.
Mark's questions. Okay. All right, so in the next 2 weeks, everyone needs to take a look at that document. And John, especially you as a new person to the board, I think your eyes on this are probably the most helpful because you know the least about this process. So if you can get in there and take a look, and if you have more questions, I think those are really valuable. A lot of us have been looking at this for a while, so that I think that would be helpful.
Okay, will do.
Awesome. Okay. So we'll start on that and then see, we can talk next meeting about maybe another television appearance. Yeah, and be awesome if someone else wanted to do it, or two of us do it. So yeah, I'm happy to do it again. I don't need to steal all the, the spotlight here. And I really look forward to getting another still of me with a ridiculous expression that's all over the place. So.
Well, I think you did a fine job. So I think it should be you again, Rebecca.
Thanks, Mary Ann.
How's that bust? It went right under there.
So if we get the video a couple weeks from now, if we start moving on the video, we'll be running into the holidays. And do we know when we have to hold our first public hearing? In January, I believe?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what we were thinking.
right, okay.
Well, that's what I was planning.
So we need the language for this by January 1 and run it by the attorney, right?
Yes. And yeah, if anybody wants to look at what we had laid out, the proposed changes, so that I can also work on some of the outreach stuff. So I put in the drive a poster I'm working on. I thought we would put it up at the recycling center with the zoning changes, the zoning map, and just some bullet points for each section.
Mhm.
But it's going to be, we really need to make sure that that's what we want on there as well. So if you look at it, and I didn't totally finish it, but I just wanted you to get an idea. But it's in there as a poster under the December documents there. I can share it if you want, but take a look at that.
I'm just going in to find it now because I think it'd be good to take a look at that.
All right, I can just share the screen too.
That would be awesome. Because I think that would be fantastic to have something like what I see hanging up at the transfer station and maybe a couple other places.
Yeah. I mean, I was even thinking, I wonder if Hannaford or something would allow something like that. But, you know, with COVID, it's tough to get to your audience. That's the best I could come up with, of getting the most amount of people, and just have it up and just have it really simple. We want to put it in layperson's terms, and I thought it would be good to have neighborhood specific examples of the changes, but you can look there and make any changes. No, I didn't do the gateway yet.
Yeah, I think this is a great start, and I think just a couple tweaks that I have suggestions for, or have suggestions on that I think would be good. Just, you know, if you live here, you know, there are changes that are happening. Here's where you learn more. So.
Right, yeah. I mean, please make, it won't hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Make any changes you want.
Yeah.
And we can color code it to, you know, you live in this zone. And
Yeah.
I was just gonna make it, simplify the map too.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the stuff here that doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think if we can make the background transparent too, so you can actually see roads, so you get an idea of where those are a little better, if
Okay,
that's
that's a good
possible.
idea. Yep,
So,
do that.
and if
The
you can
roads
always
in.
export the whole thing, and I've got a lot of it in the Google map that you can maybe play with the backgrounds a little more to make it a little easier to see, possibly, or yeah. So.
Yep. That's a good one. And I didn't know if, you know, at some document we could have, you know, if you live, I'm trying to think of how best to grab people's, if we talk about roads or neighborhoods, things like that, that people will say, you know, this changes will be happening in these areas, you know, most of the town actually, land-wise. So I don't know if that might be helpful. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some.
Yep. Okay. Do we want to workshop through this now, or I'm happy to do it offline, or if anyone else has suggestions?
I think some simple adjustments. I like the layout of it, and I think the simpler we can keep it the way Jules is already going is good. I think one of my fears, and maybe others, especially John, because you haven't been kind of mired in this leading up to now, but if I was to read this, I would assume that if I live in one of those zones, things are going to change for me. And like road frontage isn't going to change for anyone that lives in that zone. Like they're not going to feel that in the way that if they own a piece of property they want to develop someday, or if they're looking to purchase and build in those zones. So I just want to be careful we don't alarm
Yeah.
Right, yes.
I would maybe
Never
turn
thought.
the colors less alarm, like caution colors, and maybe make them
Okay.
more gentle, like a blue or a green.
Okay.
So it's catching their attention, but not you know, it's not like
Yeah.
the color of caution and alarm.
Right, yeah.
So
I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
You want to catch their attention, but
Right.
yeah, it's, and a lot of the changes are actually, you know, will increase the uses, so
Yeah.
to speak.
So
So it's
I'm
not
looking at this,
alarming.
oh.
We just want people to pay attention.
I'm looking at this and I'm feeling a little bit like I'm jumping into the middle of a story.
yeah,
Proposed zoning changes will affect you. Maybe we should say, just to start out, like, you know, Plymouth is considering zoning changes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they will affect you
Okay.
if,
Yeah.
and I'm not certain. Yeah, I mean, if you live here, it's fantastic, and I actually point that in the map. I'm going to agree. I think it was Steve who was saying, you know, I'm not certain how much detail is necessary here. If we can just point to where to get more detail and where to voice your concerns.
I
Yep,
think
that's-
definitely some contact information and who's
Oh,
doing this.
that's, yeah,
Yep.
I didn't get to that
Figured-
part.
I think maybe like the Plymouth Planning Board is working on improving our zoning ordinance. Proposed zoning changes may affect you if you live in certain areas in town. Because I think you're right, Steve, it's not going to affect everybody. It may. So,
Yeah, it depends on how you use the word
Mhm.
effect,
Yeah.
but I guess pertain is a better word.
Mhm.
The changes will pertain to these neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
fixed.
think I just like may affect you that, you know,
Okay.
I feel like it neutralizes the language a little bit. And, you know, I'm struggling with not trying, like, I don't want to be too persuasive. I would like it to be, you know, neutral in the language, but I don't want to be alarming folks. So,
Yeah,
I-
no, I don't either. I just want it to be simple.
If I can make a
Yeah.
suggestion, I think that we could say that these changes may affect future changes in these areas, not current property owners or, you know, existing uses.
yeah.
Yeah, future development activity, something like that.
Yeah.
And I would say that probably could go on the left area in place of some of the details. You can say, you know, it may affect you if, and on the left with some fine print, but you know,
Yeah.
if you're planning on developing or whatever it may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think the names are less important and the exact changes are less important, because, you know, I think we're not going to be able to capture everything on there. Just, you know, we could try and convey more information about why we're making the changes and let people seek us out for more information, at least for this. I
Right.
mean, I think, so.
Yeah, for instance, we could just say increase minimum lot size for more open space, period. I guess that's one, instead of saying how many acres. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, maybe compatible land uses, you know, per the master plan or something. like that.
Yep.
I think, Jules, this is so helpful. It's easy for us to pick it apart, but you
Yep.
got started and this is what we need. I appreciate.
Yep.
I think somewhere, probably not the top line, but somewhere else, just saying the planning board wants people to know about this.
Yep.
So they're clear it's coming from the planning board.
Yep.
That
Oh,
this,
right, yeah.
this isn't some group, some splinter group
Yeah.
trying to get people worked up.
Exactly. Nope, that's a good. Excellent. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say before when I said the planning board is making updates and improvements to our zoning ordinance. Some
Yep.
proposed changes may affect you if, so introduce it as it's fully on the planning board shoulders, and we need your input. So,
Yeah, and that'll be down with a whole, there'll maybe be a whole sheet of how to contact, you know, more information. It's on the website. Please come to the hearings or the meetings. And if you need, if you're concerned just about your own property, you can contact us and, you know, you can just call the town hall and we'll give you a
I have a
breakdown.
thought.
Yeah.
One way of leaving more space for that sort of thing might be to, you know, instead of breaking this down right away on this flyer by the different zones, you might just say these changes will affect lot size, frontage, permeability, et cetera, and as
I like
kind of
that.
one blanket statement, and then you give the information where you can find out more details. And you know, I wonder if it'll have to be right here.
you're right.
If we're
I think
trying
we
to
could
speed
put
it up,
together,
writing in there.
we could put together a packet of
good.
information that has the summary sheets, the zone descriptions, a little narrative about what we're trying to do, maybe the FAQ, a map. And then, so when people ask, you can say, well, we've got this, you know, because we're gonna have some people that visit the website, but a lot of people that are gonna need to pick up some information or get it mailed or something. And we do have to note, do we have to notice anybody? We had talked about this a couple meetings ago.
I looked into that and I don't think so, no.
Okay. So something that people can actually physically pick up and look through. And that can be the basis for our interaction too, when we have folks posted on election day for this. So,
Okay. So,
Will we know the dates of the hearings so that we could put this on this flyer, or is that, that won't happen then?
I think we should build a timeline. I think that would be really helpful.
Okay.
yeah, timeline would be good too. Like, yeah, the hearing, the voting, et cetera.
Yep, and the hearings don't need to be on our meeting days. They can be on other days too. I know that's more work for everybody, but But sometimes it's just easier because we don't know what's coming up on the docket for our January public hearing. So we could set it for the week before, the week after, or something like that. So if folks are amenable to that. But
So
we
do you
should
wanna-
set aside 2 separate hearings for it.
Right, we'll have 2 separate hearings scheduled at first. You can do both. Okay, so is everybody in agreement? We want to keep it general. These changes may affect minimum lot size, keep it general, like John was saying.
Yep.
That
Okay.
makes sense.
And then do you want to just leave out the whole name change thing?
I think the names are such an attention grabbing thing that means absolutely nothing. So,
Right,
You
okay,
know,
I agree. I didn't know what to do with that. I don't want to make it a thing.
yep.
All right, great, thank you.
I think, let us know when you have an updated version in there, and I'm happy to go take a look again. I think
Yep, same.
I think there might end up being a little bit less text and a place to go, and we can just make minor modifications to this and use it again at town meeting. So it'll be
Yep.
really helpful.
Right, just dive in there and I'll send that out and you can send me your thoughts.
Yeah, it's pretty much if you live anywhere in except the downtown area, and then you could probably set up some pretty, north of here and south of here as well. So it's, because it's pretty much everywhere that's that's not in the downtown and single family residential. So
Right, and that's why we don't have to send out mailed notices to households because it affects so many.
okay. All right. So we're under the minimum for the highway commercial.
Well, it affects all of the town pretty much, the zoning changes. It has to, I think it was 100 households or properties or less.
Okay.
So it's affecting so many different places, so.
Gotcha. So it's not specific, it's not limited to just how many people are affected in each zone. It's for a little
Right,
more.
it's a protection against like spot zoning
Mhm.
for one particular little area.
All right. So, as far as timeline goes, I can pull up a calendar and look at this, but we've got we've got a 12/17 meeting. What do we have? Do we have hearings for that, Jules?
Well, yes, we have a site plan, Mr. Carter.
Okay. And then January is, what's that, is that the 7th
Yes.
and the 21st? Okay. So I think, and so we have to, what's the deadline for when we do the first public hearing?
It's a little looser than what I had thought before because that was for a petitioned. So
Right.
it's just, we're going to post it. I'm gonna send the notice out sometime this month. And there's no deadline, except for, you have to get it in a few weeks before, I think, a number of weeks before March. Sorry,
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering
wasn't
what's the
expecting to be
latest we
here
can do.
tonight.
What's the latest we can do? Because we have to have a public hearing for any zoning changes. We have to have at least one, possibly 2.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have them in January and February. And
Okay,
that'll
I'm just
work
trying to
with-
get those, so I'm
yeah.
just trying to get those dates because I think there's a last date for the first hearing, I think. Right?
No, that was for petitioned warrant articles, and this is not petitioned. This is
Right.
Originating with the board. So there's no, those deadlines don't apply. It's, you have to get the verbiage into the town clerk. I think it's 7 weeks before town meeting.
Okay, so
something like that.
language,
So that's why we picked January and February, so.
what is the date when the language has to get to the town clerk?
I think it's 7 weeks. I don't know. I don't have the exact date. I'm sorry.
I think I have it here,
tonight.
Jules. I think I found it. So according to the schedule that came out from New Hampshire Municipal, January, like, I think this is what Jules was saying, correct me if I'm wrong. As long as we post it by January 7th, 2021, we post the notice of the first public hearing, we're good.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
And then we're seeing what other ones apply
And
to.
then we don't necessarily have to have a second hearing, but you'll schedule one anyway,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
just in case.
So by January 7th, we have to post when we're doing our first public hearing.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
And-
and we have to
and-
have the completed language done 7 weeks before,
meeting.
before town meeting. Okay.
And I don't know if it's exactly, I can just email it all out to you. It's easier to do that than,
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to work on this timeline here, so trying to understand what our deadlines here are, but 7 weeks.
I think I
before
sent
the-
that out
Yeah,
in a previous email, the whole calendar. What we need, but I don't have it.
Steve, sorry, did you have your hand up?
January 18th is the last day to hold our first public hearing.
Okay,
So if that helps you pick between our first or second meeting in January, right?
it'd have to be our first meeting, or we're gonna have to do the week in between.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm not sure we're gonna be ready by the 7th. Unless we can get because I'm not sure what it takes to take what we have and turn it into something that the zoning language. That's the part that I'm fuzzy on at this point, because I think we need to have that finalized in the next couple weeks. Because we need the town attorney
Yeah.
to look at it as well.
I think if we take we have 3 district changes, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think if we take those 3 district sheets that have the purpose statement, the name, the purpose statement, the dimensional standards and the use standards, and give those 3 sheets and the map to the town attorney, that will work. Because I think we're going to want to do some nicer formatting maybe for those, but we want to kind of create in the new zones and then in future zoning changes, standalone sheets, even if they're filed in the back of the zoning ordinance.
Mhm. Yep.
And we will have to go in and kind of edit out some of the uses from the existing table, and we'll have to do
Yep.
some of that. I don't think we have to show that though,
Okay,
but you could check with the town attorney and see if what we could give them now, because I would have them review it sooner rather than later,
yep.
if we could.
So can we get the zoning committee together next week and then bring the final version to the board at our meeting the week after, and then get the language to the attorney then to see if we're good for that? Does that work for everyone?
It does.
Okay. And then Jules, can you just prep, I'm assuming it's still Radigan is the attorney, just
Right.
prep him that that's coming so it doesn't surprise him and take longer than it needs to? I have no idea how long it takes to put stuff in front of him, stuff like that.
No, that's a good
Um,
point. I will, and I'll also ask him because I thought that you would have your hearing. And then I read that, after the hearing, that's when you finalize the language, because you maybe have people who object or want to make changes or whatnot.
Yeah, I would think we'd have him look at it again after, because if we do make changes, but I wouldn't want to be proposing anything even to go to public hearing if that's not, 100% legal. So,
Okay,
all right. So, so do we say our first public hearing is going to be the 7th? I think
I think.
we just
that's
kind
what I
of turned
thought.
it into like, we'll get it done. So, so probably needs to get noticed before the final deadline. And then, we can, I guess we can schedule the second one at our next meeting on the 21st and hope that it's not going to be a really long night.
The
Does
21st
that work?
February.
The 21st of January.
Can we bump it into February? I think we can have the second
I
one.
think we have a little bit of room in February. When's town
Yeah.
meeting?
Middle of March. I think it's right around St. Patrick's Day. It's always right around then,
Okay.
that Wednesday.
So that would put us, I guess that gives us until the end of February. So we should be okay in our February work session.
Yeah, I think that's what I figured out last time was there's a lot more wiggle than room than we originally thought. That. So that works.
I can
Okay.
be pretty flexible next week for meeting, so I'll wait to hear from you or Phil, Rebecca.
Yeah, okay, would you guys be able to meet and it's an evening, but just same time, same channel on Thursday evening? Does that work?
Thursday evening, the 10th
Yeah,
at 6:30.
if that works. I mean, I can do during the day too. It's just, I know I'm not doing anything. And then,
I know I have a school board meeting at 6.
okay,
on
then
the 10th.
we'll figure this out offline tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just think that'll be the most efficient way to get through some of the changes. Schedule committee. Okay. All right. I feel like we're in much better shape moving forward than I did, 25 minutes ago. So I feel like there's a plan in place. And how does everyone feels like we're ready for this? All right. And as we get closer to election day too, let's figure out how we can have a table with information and answer questions, and then just schedule times where we can all be there to staff that table. So
Where's the table, or when is the table?
on election day, we'd like to be able to set up outside. So as
Oh,
voters
okay,
come
just-
in, we have more information for them.
All right.
So I'm not sure about the election laws about how close we can petition for our zoning candidate. I know there's laws with political campaigns, but for zoning stuff, I'm not sure. So
Just an FYI so it'll be on the ballot and it'll already be voted on, but you can still have an informational table there.
I'm
No,
saying
we
on election day, we want to have a,
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. I was thinking town meeting.
Yeah, we're hoping to catch some people as they go in and sway them to a yes by giving them information, as opposed to the knee-jerk no that we'll get otherwise.
All right, great idea.
Yep.
I think you'll be fine.
I am not as confident as I'd like to be, but yeah. And I know these things can be close, but yeah, I'm optimistic, but want to make sure we do some work. So, okay. So next steps I'll look back at my email and see if I can find that timeline that you sent out, but maybe we can make a timeline that's in a document so we can kind of make a checklist of what needs to happen. I'll dig up Mark's FAQ. We'll work on that for our next meeting. And then maybe in our zoning committee, we can just talk about the packet of material that we need and any missing pieces that we can maybe pass on to other committee members. Okay. All right, so I think we're in good shape to call it good, unless we want to. Jules sent out an email about running an exercise to sort of think around some of our changes, and happy to let you go for that, Jules, if you want.
Oh, that was more of a video, promotional video idea. So for instance, maybe somebody who lives in the agricultural zone,
Okay.
you know what I mean? And then we can use the GIS map to illustrate some of the, trying to make it personal for people. This is my story. This is how I use my property. This is what a setback is. A lot of people, believe it or not, don't know what that is. And they don't know,
Mhm.
you know, maybe what pervious, you know, pavement is, for
Yeah.
instance, and how driveways, are, you know, impervious, whatnot. So just to, you know, as they're reading through some of these changes and they don't know what some of the terms are, et cetera.
Mhm.
It just might be, it's just a thought.
Yep, okay,
I didn't realize that's what you're going for.
yep, that's,
Yeah,
I didn't
sorry.
understand that either.
It's,
I think it's very creative.
Mhm.
I don't know if we could pull it off in time for our next video shoot, but
Yep,
I think if we could have an aerial image and show the property boundary of an existing home and basically say, have the landowner say, what's going to change for me? And we could say, like, nothing.
right, or, okay, so if I wanted to put a shed, or an accessory structure, you know, this is what setbacks are, and this is what the
Right.
difference is, and this is why. You could use your property, maybe. Or, you know, it just makes it a little personal touch, and this is what, you know, how things are in this neighborhood. It has all these characteristics, and we want to keep it, you know, keep the open space, so we're changing setbacks, you know, and maybe come up with some hypothetical uses that maybe you would or wouldn't do, but just use it as an illustrative story. It kind of makes an anecdote for people, and just it's easier for them to listen along.
I think showing a hypothetical piece of property, that was supposed to be air quotes, but I used my whole hands there. The hypothetical property, I think, might be really helpful to demonstrate some stuff. So if we could just come up with some really quick images of like, here's a property, it's in the blah, blah, blah zone. Here's what you can and can't do. This is what a setback is. Yeah, I think that would be really helpful. So I mean, my property is a little too odd to be doing that myself, but you know, I think it's just nice to not have to put our own, like, here's my house and here's where I live. And,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, it could be neighbor. This is
Yeah.
the neighborhood, my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Mhm.
And these are the characteristics of my neighborhood. You know, it's a traditional, whatever, in the agricultural zone.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, but I do think whenever we're discussing anything with the zoning, everything we do is anchored in the master plan, which had enormous amounts of public feedback. So we just need to pull it back and even mimic the language that's in there. That's why we're doing this the way we're doing it, because this is what the people said. So we're doing our best to implement that. So
it's another good thing to put on the
Mhm.
sheet.
All right. Anything else from folks? Like a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second
second.
for that?
I'll second.
Thanks, Phil.
Sure.
Any further discussion about the motion that's on the table? All right. I will read the roll. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Carl,
Aye.
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Marianne,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and me, aye.